Good afternoon. The Work and Pensions Secretary Pat McFadden has insisted that Sir Keir Starmer should remain in his job, saying there must be consistency in leadership. The Prime Minister's facing calls to stand down after apologising for appointing Lord Mandelson as the UK's ambassador to the United States in 2024. He was dismissed in September over his links to Jeffrey Epstein and is being investigated by police over allegations he sent sensitive government documents to the convicted sex offender following the 2008 financial crash. Our political correspondent, Billy Kenber, reports.
Selecting Peter Mandelson as Britain's ambassador to the United States could end up costing the Prime Minister his own job. This weekend, Sir Keir Starmer finds himself on the ropes. His close allies pleading with colleagues not to move against him.
I know that when it's a rough week, it's easy to reach for a lever, change the leader's chief of staff, and think that will fix it. I think the country's had pretty good experience in the last 10 years and has tested to destruction the idea that changing the Prime Minister solves the country's problem.
But the problem is you promised you would be different, and many of our viewers look at what Labour's done, and it's not any different. You're still arguing amongst yourselves. You're still talking about leadership.
Well, maybe one way we can be different is to not drop the pilot after 18 months.
Pat McFadden, like many senior Labour figures, has known and worked with Mandelson for decades. He said he understood the decision to name him as US ambassador, insisting that Starmer had acted in good faith, but had been betrayed by Mandelson's deceit. But the drumbeat within Labour is getting louder. Many MPs think the scandal is terminal for the Prime Minister. Now the leader of a Labour-affiliated union has added to the voices of a handful of backbenchers calling for a new leader.
Everybody's thinking it, and people are just not saying it at the moment. Unfortunately, we're seeing MPs being wheeled out again today to sweep up the mess behind the Prime Minister at the moment, and it seems that the Prime Minister isn't taking advice from elected people within his own government. We've seen that he didn't listen to the former Deputy Prime Minister, he hasn't listened to his current Deputy Prime Minister, he's listening to a factional group.
Others have stopped short of calling for Starmer's head, but said he needs to change the team around him. Their focus is on Morgan McSweeney, his most senior advisor, with David Blunkett, the former Home Secretary, among those saying McSweeney needs to go. Starmer's cabinet colleague insists that's not the answer.
I don't think that would make any difference at all. And to call for changes of staff, I've seen this before, I don't think it makes a difference.
The Conservatives, no stranger to changing leader, say the Prime Minister's time has come.
I think everybody in Westminster understands that we've kind of crossed a line. And we've moved to a question of if, to a question of when. And I think in those circumstances, it's incumbent on the Labour Party to sort this out as quickly as possible.
Another grey day for Starmer in Westminster. Can he survive many more? Billy Kenber, BBC News.
The American champion skier Lindsey Vonn has suffered a serious crash in the women's downhill event at the Winter Olympics in Italy. She'd been competing despite a serious knee injury and has been airlifted to hospital. Team GB have also been in action in the skiathlon and will be competing in the snowboarding later. Joe Curry reports from northern Italy.
Even making the starting lineup had been something of a miracle. Just over a week ago, the 41-year-old ruptured her cruciate knee ligament, an injury that usually requires surgery, but Vonn wanted to ski on. Her competitors had to watch on concerned, as Vonn's cries of pain were heard on the mountain, with medics rushing to help her. Well, Vonn's crash is a reminder of just how dangerous winter sports can be, something that will now be at the back of every athlete's mind, including Mia Brooks, who here in Livigno has the chance to become Britain's youngest winter medalist in 78 years when she goes in the women's big air. The 19-year-old has already been crowned the nation's first ever world champion in slopestyle, but in big air qualification tonight, she'll compete alongside teammate Maisie Hill, whose career was almost ended by a horrific training accident 3 years ago. This is the most spread out Winter Olympics we've ever had, with sports taking place in multiple locations. But for fans hoping to travel to the Games, their journeys may have been made even more complicated after suspected attacks on northern Italy's railway network led to severe disruption. Joe Curry, BBC News, Livigno.
The American television presenter Savannah Guthrie has released a new video pleading for the safe return of her elderly mother, who's believed to have been kidnapped, and says she's ready to pay for her release. Nancy Guthrie, who's 84, disappeared in the middle of the night from her home in Tucson, Arizona last weekend, and authorities believe she was taken against her will. In the new video, Ms. Guthrie has directly addressed her potential kidnappers.
We received your message, and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
Savannah Guthrie speaking there. Polls have just closed in Japan after millions voted in a snap election, with the country's first female Prime Minister, Sanai Takaichi, and the governing Liberal Democratic Party projected to win a majority in Parliament. Ms. Takaichi has turned the vote into a referendum on her leadership, betting that personal popularity can deliver a public mandate. Shaima Halil reports from Tokyo.
A snap election in the depths of winter. Voters braving freezing conditions as Japan's first woman prime minister eyes a parliamentary majority and tries to claw back what her party lost last year. Looming over this vote is the rising cost of living.
Our son is getting bigger and we need a bigger place, but it's really not affordable for us.
What counts isn't tax cuts, but raising everyone's income, wages. I believe that's the kind of policy we need.
This is highly unusual timing for an election here in Japan, but then Sanai Takaichi is an unusual prime minister. Unlike many of her predecessors, she's built a huge following on social media, cultivating a near celebrity status.
The first female prime minister in the history of Japan.
Only a week into her leadership, she forged a personal rapport with Donald Trump, who later endorsed her days before the vote. She's also generated viral moments closer to home, going back to an old passion of hers, with a drumming session alongside the Korean president. And while she's energized diplomacy, she's also infuriated Beijing when she suggested Japan would respond militarily if China attacked Taiwan. A staunch conservative, she's promised spending and tax relief. A win for Takaichi will see a brief honeymoon period before voters judge her on stagnant wages, a weak yen, and rising prices. Shaima Khalil, BBC News, Tokyo.
Here, dozens more flood warnings and more than 200 flood alerts have been issued in England following days of rain. Most of the warnings are located in the southwest and the Midlands. There's currently one flood warning in Scotland and none in Wales. The Met Office said this week that rain had fallen every day this year so far in the southwest England and South Wales. Now, the Super Bowl, the biggest sports event in America, kicks off at 11:30 tonight as the Seattle Seahawks take on the New England Patriots. But halftime is also exciting with past performers including Michael Jackson and Beyoncé. This year, it's Puerto Rican singer Bad Bunny. Sam Harris reports from San Francisco.
Yes, go!
Two teams, one trophy, and a show millions all around the world will be tuning in for. The Super Bowl, one of the biggest events in America.
The Super Bowl is all-inclusive, okay? There's no hate, it's just fun, excitement.
As a Latin American, it definitely means a lot to us, as well as with the halftime show. I think it's really cool.
Please join us in welcoming Bad Bunny.
Much of the hype pre-game has focused on the choice of Puerto Rican superstar Bad Bunny as the halftime performer. The decision was strongly criticised by President Trump, with Bad Bunny singing primarily in Spanish and calling out ICE in his Grammy award-winning speech. But last year's most streamed artist hinted the performance will focus on unity rather than division.
You always have to be proud about who you are and feel proud about your history and where you're from.
The Seahawks soar to Super Bowl 60.
Seattle arrive as the favourites after a seriously impressive season, with some of that success down to British coach Adam Durdy.
It's a game where anything can happen. It's fast, it's physical. Once you start understanding exactly what's going on, those are the things that pulled me in.
Don't rule out the Patriots, though, as they're looking for a record 7th Super Bowl trophy.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I think we're ready to have some fun and turn up and see some good football and hear some good music.
As you know, our country's a little fractured right now. We're going through some things, but everybody is cheering for somebody.
So, will it be sport or music that dominates tomorrow's headlines? Sam Harris, BBC News, San Francisco.
Sounds exciting. That's all from us. The next news here on BBC One is at 5:30.